Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. We're going into the 15th, into the 16th now here for you tonight, and another late night show with you. Glad you could join us. We're going to be getting into various topics and news items and the rest of that. So we're glad you could be with us tonight here. We're going to be discussing a whole raft of issues. We'd love to have you any kind of topic you want to discuss. I'd love to hear from you as well tonight. You can email topics, or we have a few. I did get some emails in the past 24 hours, so we'll be covering some of those emails tonight. More from you as well. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's where you can email in all of your questions, topics you'd like me to talk about, any of that kind of stuff. That's where you can do it at, and I'd be happy to address anything you'd like to hear me discuss on the show tonight here as we're live. It's 12:40 a.m. Central Standard Time. So wherever you're at here for this late night Moonbat show, definitely let us know. So yeah, we're going to be getting all kinds of stuff here tonight. Let's see. What should we talk about? What to talk about? All right. We also have the chat room as well tonight. You can join in. It's a live chat room in there tonight. I tell you what. Woohoo! There's some lots of chatters in there. People getting crunk in the chat room tonight. Global Reality chat room at theglobalreality.com. So you can go and join everybody in there and hang out and talk and discuss whatever you like to discuss in there tonight. It's getting crazy. It's Black Sheep Radio, Nick. It's his birthday, so it's getting wild and crazy in there right now. The people are passing around drinks and probably passing around other stuff. I don't know. It gets wild in that chat room. Enter at your own risk. So there you go. But nonetheless, well, we're going to be discussing some various topics here. I've got some things I want to discuss with you that pertain to things that we've discussed recently and in the past, and there's a whole raft of things to talk about. I'm going to try to go through some of this email here real quick, just to start out with tonight. And somebody asked about this. Here's one. Somebody said that when I stream your channel, I never know if you're live. It used to show a title. Can you add that again so I know the original broadcast date, what current song you're playing if you're live? Not. Yeah, it's weird. At the suggestion of somebody else who suggested that I make it where it will alert or basically display that the show is live on the metadata, like on Shoutcast and stuff. When I did that, it somehow inadvertently changed some setting that I can't get changed back, that displays what song is playing, when the name of the archive and all that. I can't get that back in my SAM broadcaster. I mean, I know where you go to do it at, but I can't seem to, maybe I need to start a new encoder or something, a new session of the encoder or something. I'll mess around with it, but I'm not happy about that either. And it is something that I've been trying to fix. So somebody had emailed me about that. Let's see what else we have here. And so I just had a thought, and I was wondering what you think about it. Now people that are awake or waking up know there is a lot of badass fuckers out there that are taking over the world. I try and put myself in their shoes, so to speak, so as much as I can, but now I'm not even close to how these bastards are. But after 2 years, I figured out how a few could take over every country without firing one shot. Own it. At this point in time, every state is so far in debt, I don't think that there is any way to put it back. If the Fed called in all loans, they would then take over all assets of the state, which means all the land of that state. So now, after they acquired all the land from all the countries they're involved in or theirs, they dictate how it was run and who lives on it, and so on and so forth. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, that pretty much about brings us up to date, sir. Glad you figured that out. Yeah, that's, that you know, yeah, exactly, yes. That's exactly what has happened. It says, I've had so much fluoride, I'm just now catching up on things. Yeah, I hear you. Someone said in a video that in order to bring down the world's elite, you have to go for the spine. So how the heck do we get out of all of this? And so thank you to this is Lori. So thank you, Lori, for your email. How do we get out of this? That's a question I've been asked a million times. It's anybody that can claim, I think, to have an answer to that question, I wouldn't trust them. Because if I had a solid, hardcore, silver bullet solution answer for that question, I sure as hell wouldn't be up here flapping my jaws talking about it on a radio show. I'd have my ass out there doing it. That's an honest to God answer. I would say that anybody that claims to you, and there are people that do claim to, I'm not one of them. Although I do have suggestions, but I don't have anything that I would say is an absolute bar none, end all be all solution. Because the thing about it is, this is all new territory for all of us. There is no historical context or no reference manual we can go back to for what it entails being somebody who is alive right now on this planet, who is now privy to a whole bunch of information that these people have been hiding from us for thousands of years. We are significant, those of us that are alive right now on this planet, by that virtue, by the virtue of the fact that we are now, and we don't have all the answers, and we don't have all of the answers to all the questions, but you know what? We have more than most people who came before us ever had in their entire lifetimes. Minus people that were in the power structure, in on the know, but I mean regular, civilians, everyday people. We now have more information about the things that have been being kept from us for thousands of years than anybody ever has. That puts us in a unique position. It puts us in a unique position because now that we know how much has been kept from us, now it's up to us to try and tell as many people about this and get as many people about understanding, pulling the veil back as we possibly can. And I know that sounds like the same old thing that everybody else has said, but I got to tell you, I've been doing this for so long, even long before I've been on air for 4 years, but before I was on air, I was I was in the streets, man. I was an activist. It's what I did. That's what led me to this. What led me to making films. I got tired of only reaching, a few hundred people every time we do a street action or, calling senators' offices or whatever have you and doing, getting involved locally at the local level. See, that's what a lot of people say. Oh, just get involved at the local level. Well, what if you did get involved at the local level first and then that didn't work? So you had to try and, do a radio show and make films to reach more people. Because that's exactly what I did. I was involved at the local level very much. But when you're involved at that level for a very long time, you start to understand that, you're just not, there's such bigger picture than your little microcosmic issues you're dealing with on your little chunk of land, wherever it is you live in the world. You see? That's where I was at. I started realizing, whoa, this is much grander and bigger and far reaching than, just what's happening in your particular little island. But, so, that question, how do we get out of this? And like I said, I don't have an answer to that. I have my personal solutions to that. For me, it's being able to use whatever my talents are, to try and educate more people on all of the issues, and also educate people on esoteric topics, because it's very much a part of what I'm into. Show people the truth about those things, show people the lies, and show people how this stuff has been used for evil, when there's nothing in ancient manuscripts or grimoires or sacred texts or anything ever that says, well, short of like the not the tetragram, to the whatever it is, Necronomicon, yeah. But no, there is nothing in any of these, even the Freemasonic stuff. There's nothing in there that ever says this is supposed to be used for evil, or this is satanic devil worship. I mean, it doesn't say that anywhere. And so that's another thing, showing people how the misconceptions of that. So everything that I do is, from playing music or doing a radio show or making films, all of that stuff falls under the guise of trying to take information and reach more people with it. That's because the thing about it is, if we existed in a world where, if tomorrow everybody knew what you and I knew about this stuff, it'd be very hard for these people to keep their system in place anymore. I think that, again, because we're in uncharted territory here, there are no easy explanations or easy silver bullet answers to all of this, because the thing about it is, when somebody says, what's the solution, or how do we get out of this? There is no, okay, here it is, and this is it, and this is the explanation, because this stuff didn't come about like that. You had pieces and pieces and pieces. These people essentially throughout the years have built the Great Pyramids using Legos. That's a nice little analogy that I like to use for the great work. It really does sum it up. And it's since the point in time in which the priest class, the aristocracy, because again, when you had the first civilization set up in ancient Sumeria, these ancient civilizations, which, by the way, another more proof that they got help, they got everything right in one try. I mean, these people had a civilization literally overnight. And the system of government that you had from that point on to the Sumerian kingdom, Assyria, Babylon, on into Egypt, there was no government like we know it now, where you have congressmen and senators, presidents, the heads of state, Democrats, Republicans, the Senate, the House, Parliament. That wasn't how it was. You had priests. Now, how did these people, you ask, how did the priesthood come about? How did these people come out? Well, it had to originate somewhere, right? Somebody didn't just say, okay, you're the priest, buddy, you get the job, go at it. No. These were some of the earliest people who had access to teachings and technologies, knowledge of technologies, light years beyond what we have even now today in 2011. And they were allowed to be in the positions of power. The priests were the government, as it were, back then, because of the knowledge that they had that the rest of the people did not have. And by allowing little bits of this to creep out into the general public, to be used in things like necessity things like, food and shelter and growing crops and the rest of this stuff, and having a stable society. And then it just expanded. More knowledge was gained. More information was held. It was passed down generationally. That's how the priesthood started. It started from the first people that had access to information that the rest of the people didn't have, and they realized they could gain great power from this. And every secret society and every religious order and every government group and family all originated from one original thing. That's what it all came from. And so it's when you understand that, and you understand that this didn't come about overnight, and that this is being built again, essentially, you know, with Samaria, they had the first Lego piece. And now 3,600 years later, almost now, as we're entering into galactic alignment, the precession of the equinoxes, now they have built a great deal of this pyramid out of Legos. It's been a little bitty pieces, tiny chunks at a time. This war over here, this revolution over here, this merging of these countries over here, all of this stuff. And they just push it forward, and each one of the people's in these, whatever position they may hold, their sole duty in their life and their job. Why do you think these people don't? You ever notice how every time one of these guys gets torn up in a scandal out in the public, you ever notice how it doesn't seem to bother them? You know, all the stuff that came out about Bill Clinton, the guy never seemed like it bothered him at all. None of these guys, and he never seems to bother them. That's because they know that all of that stuff is for show. It's smoke and mirrors for the public. And that for whatever reason they are in that current position that may be defaming their name to the public. They understand that role of being the fall guy or, the scapegoat or being impeached or whatever have you is one of the pieces in their great plan and great work to achieve their global empire. So that's why these guys never look remorseful whenever they're busted or anything. You notice that? Only any of these politicians, think about it. Or Madoff or any of these guys. None of them ever look like they've ever done anything wrong. Because they have been their only concern, this is how they're trained. Especially Clinton, Rhodes Scholar. This is how they're trained through the years to essentially know that everything that they're doing has importance to it. That's part of what the secret societal structure is as well. Is they teach these guys at a young age, when they bring them into the secret societies at 19, 20, they don't generally bring them in their first year of college. It's generally second, third year. They bring these young guys in and they give them a little taste of power. They show them, and tell them things that nobody else knows. And they start to see that through programming and believe that they are working for some divine power, for some plan that is set down. Most of the time they're told God, and they don't even question that. But that's what it is. These people believe that for whatever plan that they are striving to achieve this for, that it is for a higher purpose. And that's why they don't care how many they kill. They don't care how many innocent lives are lost. They don't care the toll to the planet or to the environment or anything else. It does not factor into anything that they do, because at all times, every one of their subservient minions, their only focus is to do their bit, to do their part in the furthering of the great work. So to answer your question there, how the heck do we get out of this? That's up for you to find out. Find what your little talents are and put them to use. We need to build if we're going to build communities that are going to be free from the powers that be, then we need people that do everything. We need carpenters and electricians and herbologists and fucking crocheters and welders and fucking crystal people and Reiki people and yoga teachers. Whatever. You need one of everything, of every person that does everything, and that's how you build communities. Then when you find like-minded people like you that are, have the same interest in not being reliant upon their system anymore, well, then you start to build communities out of it. That's, that's my explanation. But I don't have a solid gold answer for you on that question, and I've been asked it a lot. Like I said, if I did have anybody that tries to tell you they can answer that 100% and say, the solution is this is it, here we go, you ready, and everything, just lay it out for you. Don't trust that. Don't trust that. Let's see what else we have here tonight in the realm of emails. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com if you want to email in a question for me to discuss here tonight on the broadcast. Okay, here's another one. Says, hello, Josh. I appreciate you addressing my last email. I would like it if you would send me an email with a mailing address so I can make a donation sometime. Yeah, I don't have. We got to get a PO box going for this thing so we can start getting more people that want to donate non-PayPal. For now, that's all it is. I'm sorry that I can't get your donation, but there are solutions where if you don't want to use PayPal, or if you don't want to have your money with an account, you can get. I think the people have done like prepaid card things and use the PayPal thing that way, and that's worked for people who don't want to use PayPal with their bank account and all that stuff. So you can do that. I know that's an option. So what I would like to ask you about is world news. I can never seem to find good, reliable news regarding foreign countries. You never hear about a South American version of the Rothschilds. A South American version of the Rothschilds. Well, that's because they can, a lot of these people, no matter what the countries are, they control it all. South America, we've had South America. The United States had South America on lockdown for 30 plus years, man. I mean, my fucking God, you see what we did to those people down there? We own South America. That's just all there is to it. But I feel you on that. What kind of stuff is going on in Africa or Europe? Well, you can find that all in the mainstream. I mean, we cover stories here on this show all the time that concern what goes on in Africa and what goes on in Europe and what's happening in South America. I mean, we cover stories here that happen from all over the world. Africa's got, I mean, my God, look at the genocide going on there. Angola, the sheer insanity going on in Africa, the entire Middle East. It's in upheaval right now. They're dismantling it, restructuring. They are making the Novus Ordo Seclorum right now. It's happening. It's all in the news, man. I just don't cover all of that stuff all the time because I get fucking sick to death of it. And I think that a lot of other people out there cover that stuff a lot more ad nauseum, probably better than me. And I anymore, I can't just cover stuff for the sake of covering it. I can only cover and talk about what I feel covering and talking about. And if I look at a story and I don't feel it, I don't talk about it. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not like rah, 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 screaming at you or anything, sir. Just don't take me the wrong way. But I'm very passionate about things. I tend to emphasize them, and then sometimes people think I'm fucking yelling at them, but I'm not. I like your email. I'm in no way, shape, or form got any negative feelings towards you right now. Let me continue here. It says that it seems like all the relevant NWO news comes from America. Well, that's not necessarily true either. I've got 4 stories right here at the end of my news stack today that we'll get into tonight that come from the Daily Mail out of the UK. I've got one here about Mubarak from the Al Arabia News Channel. I've got several here from other news sources outside of the United States. Let's see what else. I mean, I cover stories here from news sources that are all over the world. The problem is you got to be very careful about a lot of these alleged overseas news agencies that are nothing more than CIA news propaganda fronts, like the EU Times, and there's a few of them. Pakistan Daily. I don't know. There's a few of them out there you got to be wary of. And anything that says Sorchafal on it or anything else like that, just stay away from. So, I mean, I cover stories here from news that comes all over the world. Why is it maybe that, are you saying that maybe, why are we only, or they're only, because I don't really get that standpoint. It says, most of the relevant NWO news comes from America. Well, relevant NWO news how? Relevant to, relative to their plan, or relative to the people that are putting out this type of information, alternative media being strictly most of it coming from the United States? Because there is, you're right. There, besides stuff like Red Ice, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot more out there than you know of. But it does seem that a lot of this stuff is coming out of the United States. Yeah. He continues on here. He says that, wondering if you could connect me to a good news source. I pull all my news from all kinds of places, and I just don't have the time every day to update. I was sending them over to Man Hydra to get him to post them up on the website every day. I just hadn't had time to do that. There's been so much stuff coming out. But I have been trying to get a lot of news stories up on our website, theglobalreality.com. I can't really point you in the direction of one good news site. I mean, Lee gets some good stuff up on his website, and a lot of the stuff that I come up with and find, he posts there as well. So, yeah, you can always check out Lee Rogers' website, roguegovernment.com, if you don't know about... I don't know. Lee's, that's probably the only news website I can really suggest. And Lee sometimes doesn't have everything up there. And sometimes he has some stuff up there that, I won't agree with, or he won't agree with either, but he'll put it up there. So, just check out his website if you haven't checked it out. Also, regarding chemtrails, I'm really not sure where to pursue info on this. That G. Edward Griffin flick smacks of InfoWars. Yeah, I watch it. It was the whole thing that was interesting about it is that you got to about the middle of the film and you realized it had an agenda. If you're going to make a film about chemtrails, you make a goddamn movie that just give us the facts, or just give us the conjecture, or just give us the theories. Whatever. But what you don't give us is 30 minutes into the movie, and they're spraying to fulfill the prophecy of the New World Order system and bringing in global government and enslaving us all, and now here we go. Now that may be true. That could be 100% true. Whatever. But that is not the point. You are then using an issue to try to further an ideology. And of course, with G. Edward Griffin being a prominent member of the John Birch Society, he ripped everything out of his Jekyll Island book off from Eustace Mullins, 100%. Even Eustace Mullins said that. He's a fraud and another Jesuit JBS guy. But yeah, I mean, I watched that film, and like I said, no, you just give us the information pertaining to chemtrails. We don't need to know your theory and your opinion on whether or not they're using this to fucking, bring in the New World Order or not. Yeah, that might be so. Again, yes, that very well could be true. But it's not the point when we're just talking about, and that's where you lose people. That's where you lose a larger audience, because no matter how much good info you have, as soon as you take it back to, and this is why you need to vote for Ron Paul and switch your voting status from Democrat to Republican because they're spraying these chemtrails. Yeah. See, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people find the truth movement and the patriot movement, and they don't see past that. That was a big red flag for me, especially when I was in the 9/11 group here that I helped create. I helped create the only 9/11 truth group in Dallas back in 2006, and I started noticing that a lot of these guys that were in, a lot of people in this group were, coming from the hardcore Democratic background, coming from being, voters and lovers of Clinton and stuff like that, and waking up to the New World Order. And then, we're talking to people like borderline pinkos, borderline commies. And, next thing you know, they're all switching their status over to Republican to go vote for Ron Paul. And I'm going, you guys don't see something wrong with this picture here? I mean, you see what they're doing? It's all been a big part of the great plan to bring that about. So yeah, seems like a decoy of sorts. He says, I had I had read one theory relating chemtrails to blue beam and basically dumping these metals in the atmosphere in a sense to make a flat screen in the sky so they can better project holograms. Seems like a stretch. Well, no, actually, that actually is part of it, but because what they do is that's in the patent technologies. By the way, they have that technology. Yeah, that's not a conspiracy theory. I've actually seen the patent documents on that before. Somebody had posted links. I don't have it anymore, but somebody had posted links. There are U.S. patent documents for that. Yeah, it's the a plasma layer above the Earth is what it is. And but the thing about it is it's not that they're spraying the chemtrails for that now. There's a variety of reasons. None of these operations, they do have one explanation. There's multiple tiered effect for everything they launch. Chemtrails have multitudes of usages in varieties. Everything from weather modification, of course, is the big one that everybody always points out, but also earth-penetrating tomography when used in combination with electromagnetic pulse systems, the X-class, X-band radar system you have, space-based weapons. There's a whole raft of things. So that you know, and that's another thing. Like I said earlier, if anybody ever tells you that they have the solid silver bullet solution for all this, I wouldn't trust them. Same thing with people that tells you that they have all the answers and only the explanation for chemtrails, because we just flat don't. But I'm willing to entertain anything. Hell, I've heard stuff as far fetched as they're time travelers and they're traveling back from the future to come and geoengineer our climate now, so that in the future, it's habitable or whatever. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either at this point. My goodness. I mean, we're pretty far down the fucking rabbit hole to think anything sounds crazy at this point. My God. Once you had your world turned upside down 18 ways to Sunday and split down the fucking middle and thrown in the garbage, and you're just still, punch drunk after it. Some of this info just makes your head spin sometimes when you find out about it for the first time. Like when I found that clip of Schlafly in Jones Endgame, where she's sitting in the CMP meeting with a plaque that says Council for National Policy, shot from Jones cameras. I tell you what, I almost fell out of my chair. I thought I was dreaming, man. I did. I thought I was like, oh, there ain't no way this just fell in my lap. Oh God, no. It's it's on now. I mean, geez, Louise, man. You know, we're pretty far down the rabbit hole now. Never thought that one would present itself to us. Never thought we'd actually have actual footage from Alex Jones cameras inside a CMP meeting. I wasn't quite ready for that. I was kind of like, no, come on, somebody's fucking with me, right? I did, man. I was like, come on, but it makes total sense, I mean, it makes total sense because I think he's been waiting for us to find this all this time, and we hadn't, and so he's just been kind of holding his breath. But it's great because that's the movie where he said that was the only film he ever made where all of the clips were his own. He didn't buy any clips or license any clips from that film. All the clips in the Endgame film were Alex Jones clips. Well, you said it, brother. So my question is, who and how did you get inside a CMP meeting with your cameras to film Phyllis Schlafly where she's standing in front of the big gold plaque that says Council for National Policy on it? Kind of blows holes in that theory that up until a year or two, you'd never heard of the group, huh, Alex? Because you made that film in 2007. I started talking about the CMP at the end of 2007. So you do the math there, buddy. And if, well, let me give you the benefit of the doubt then. Let's say maybe for a second that part of the film you didn't edit in, right? And you just had one of your buddies like Aaron Dykes or somebody edit that in. Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then that blows holes in your whole thing about how you do every aspect of your own films and you edit them down and you're, in control of every aspect. So either way, your credibility's shot on this one. But point is, I just didn't expect that to fall in my lap. I bet that fucker's been sitting over there for the past 3 years going, God damn it, I hope they don't find that clip. God damn it. Because the reason I found it was because I was watching Volume 1 of Endgame, and I was noticing that he had Dr. Michael Kaufman in it, who was the CMP president in 96. I noticed he had a couple Eagle Forum chick in there, and I went, what's this Endgame 1.5? And it was the additional one that he put out that was stuff that didn't make it off the cutting room floor, and so I went back and watched it. And it's you can find it on YouTube. Type Alex Jones Endgame 1.5 Law of the Sea Treaty, LOST Law of the Sea Treaty, and you'll find it. And it's about 1 minute 47 seconds in. There's Phyllis Schlafly. Man, I was just like, and you know, I was just like, wow, that's going to be hard to wiggle out of, my friend. Hard to wiggle out of. Let me finish up here with this email. To me, the most plausible reason to affect the weather. I'm in sales and on the road every day. I've become somewhat obsessed with what's going on up there. If they can't allow it to be a clear blue sky. Today was very odd. I did not see a jet all morning till mid-afternoon. They usually restart around 10 or 11 a.m. They go almost all evening. Yep, that's what they do here. Well, I'd like to get at least one music reference in each email. Being from Texas, are you a fan of the Black Angels? Yes, I'm a fan of the Black Angels. They're from Austin, actually. Yeah, I've seen them a couple of times. They play up here in Dallas quite a bit. Yeah, big fan of the Black Angels. I wish the Demi guys could play a show with those guys sometime. They're fucking awesome. Love those guys. Yeah. Totally. I don't have any other stuff on my network hard drive or I'd play it, but I'll try to get some of that up for you. My vinyl collection is amazing. It's nearing 700 now. The majority are old thrift store, country, and rock, but I dig getting new vinyl as well. Me too. I need to get a new turntable. I haven't had a new turntable in a long time. And we've got tons of records. I love records, but the turntables are like $200. I hadn't been able to get one, but yeah, totally. But got a couple of more questions coming in, and love to hear from you. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. We got lots of news to get into tonight, so if we run out of questions, we'll get into news. But hey, I'd love to just stay on these questions as long as we can. I saw some people throwing some stuff out there in the chat room a little while ago, and I couldn't really make it out because I was talking. So if any of you guys in the chat room had anything you wanted me to discuss, shoot it over at the email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. So we're going to take a break and come back, and we'll get into more emails, more news, more information, tons of stuff for you here tonight on this Tuesday night Moonbat edition of the Global Reality, folks. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us tonight for this Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Another late one here for you tonight, and we're glad you could be with us. We've got more emails, more questions to go to tonight. We'd love to hear from you as well. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. If you have emails you'd like to send them over there, and I will address them on air for you here tonight. If there's a topic, if you don't have necessarily a question, you just have a topic, you just have something, hey, can you talk about this topic? Throw it out there, and I'll see what I can do. So there you go. So we got a few of these more. A couple of these are short. Won't have to field very long. So we'll get into those here in just a minute. We have some news and stuff tonight as well to cover with you here on the show. My website where this broadcast originates from, again, is theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. The way that you support our broadcast and keep us alive and keep the movies coming and the radio shows coming and the music coming and all of that is by donating to the network. We don't have any commercials here. So I was talking earlier about how many commercials they play on Oracle, and that's how they pay the bills every month. In the spirit of trying to not do what everybody else does with these radio networks. That was my whole intent when I started this network back in December of 2009. I had been on 4 or 5 networks and just noticed that everything was always garnered towards the networks. And the only people that were even, I noticed that the people that ran the networks, all had $400 and $500 microphones and, living high on the hog. And then the hosts who are bringing the listeners in that are supporting the sponsors aren't getting jack diddly dick. And that was one of the things when I started this network. I was thinking, well, everybody that I talk to hates the commercials and they having to sit through that. So why don't I try to do, a network where It's just based on whatever people feel that they want to contribute to what we do. So that's the model we use here. And instead of having commercials and all this other stuff, we ask that you support us by using the chip-in banner for the bills and for the cost of running the network and everything every month, and paying all the bills here for everything. That's how you do that. And then also the donate button is there, and that is for larger amounts. If you want to donate larger amounts, $1,000, $2,000, whatever you want, to go towards the films, bus buying more equipment and more things, more cameras, more computers, all that stuff. That's where you can do that. And we also have a recurring subscription where you can donate and become a member, where it comes out of your account monthly, and you can cancel that at any time. So there you go. Also, we have CDs up there under the FML recording imprint. We have CDs by the Demigods, by Jamie Reeves, by Delphi. There's all kinds of stuff up there. We're going to be having a soundtrack for the Secret Right Volume 2 that'll be coming out as a simultaneous release with that film. And all of our pre-order customers will get a copy of the soundtrack CD that will be released independently and separately. They'll get a copy of that for free. So this time, because of the soundtrack and the music and stuff that I'm doing for this film is going to be really fucking awesome, is what it's really going to be. So I wanted to I had some people request that. So yeah, we're going to have a separate soundtrack disc for that for the Secret Right Volume 2. It's going to be awesome, man. We're so close now. We're getting almost to the point of being able to have this done. So it's exciting. To say the least, it's exciting. But yeah, so I can't wait to do that, because some of the music and stuff that I have in mind and lined up to do for this is going to be really cool, using like some old analog synthesizers and that kind of stuff. It's going to be all original music that I'm composing and playing, and so I thought, since people had asked for that before, I'm going to have a thing where, it has its own CD release and its own music, and it's independent, because some of the pieces are like that. In fact, even Guyman, I think it was actually Guyman that suggested that to me in the first place, because he had played a lot of the music from the Volume 1 on his radio network, Slitscan Media. He'd asked me to give him some of those files, and he'd played some of those. And so I thought it'd be cool to kind of have a collection of all that music, because some of them are actual, some of them are just, some stuff that I do is just kind of background stuff, noise and sounds. But then there's some of them that are actually, proper music that I just cut up and put in the back, like that intro to the Volume 1 of the Secret Right. If you go watch the intro where the opening title of where you hear the guitar and the big drums come in, that's all me playing all that. I played all the guitar, played all the drums, and wrote that little piece. Yeah, that's just what I do. I just get in here and record some stuff and see what I like, and then try to record something that I think fits the particular mood. It's a lot. It is, it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. But let's get back to our emails here tonight. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. We'll get into some news and other topics here for you. Dear Mr. Reeves, I am not sure if you saw my previous emails. I hope it wasn't excessive. But perhaps you could discuss the racists at CPAC. Apologize again if I sent too many emails. I don't recall getting too many emails from you, and I'm trying to let me go back through mine, because I think maybe you weren't sending them to the right address or something at first, sir, or ma'am, whichever one says. I didn't see if it was a ma'am or a sir. But maybe you were sending it to the wrong email address, and you just happened to get it right this time. Because I have a pretty good memory, and I don't see any other emails from you in my stack, but I do see this one. So no, you don't have to apologize for that. But the racists at CPAC, I don't know if there's really anything more I can say about that issue. I will say this. I find it, I've talked about many times with the Council for National Policy and with the whole right wing in general. What they do in these Council for National Policy meetings is essentially they pull all the different Republican groups in under one roof, right? And they essentially dole out to these various different groups from the libertarians or, the college Republicans or whatever. And they have these different groups, and then you have like the John Birch Society types. And they essentially dole out to these various different groups what their role in this whole thing is going to be. And so when they have these things out in public where you'll have all the libertarians or, the Tea Partiers and the Ron Paul people are fighting. They put out this thing where, the Tea Partiers think this. Well, the Ron Paul people think this, blah, blah, blah. Look how divided they are. Their whole party's divided. That's all smoke and mirrors. That's all show for the public. Case in point of this from the CPAC meeting is this. Congressman Ron Paul booted from conservative group for anti-war views. The conservative group Young Americans for Freedom announced Saturday that Republican Ron Paul would be expelled from the group's National Advisory Board because of his delusional and disturbing alliance with the fringe anti-war movement. Okay, so the Young Americans for Freedom, correct? Okay, well, let's go look them up. The Young Americans for Freedom is an ideologically conservative political group that was founded in 1960. While the 1960s were its most successful years in terms of numbers and influence, the Young Americans for Freedom continued to be active as a national organization without chapters throughout the United States. The Young Americans for Freedom's official publication is called The New Guard. Now, listen to this. Now, it goes on and it talks about the whole history of it. And it says, since its founding, the Young Americans for Freedom continuously identified itself as conservative. The founders were among those who helped to define the modern meaning of this term in American politics. However, the term conservative has changed in meaning over several generations. Before World War II, most American conservatives were non-interventionist. But as the Cold War began to dominate American foreign policy, the old conservatism disintegrated. After Robert Taft was defeated from the Republican nomination in 1952, non-interventionist conservatism mostly vanished. In the 1950s, a new kind of conservatism arose. This new ideology was formulated in large part by the newspaper Human Events. The magazine National Review and National Review's editor, William F. Buckley, Jr. This new conservatism combined free market economics, respect for traditional values, orderly society, and anti-communism. Now, there's the key right there. One of the biggest proponents of this, and the person who was really pushing this to the forefront in the 1960s, was William F. Buckley. Now, William F. Buckley was one of these guys who calls themselves a right-wing socialist. They believe in the socialist ideologies of Stalin. Another one of those guys that also expounds those same is Grover Norquist. And if I'm not mistaken, there's been a lot of stuff with Grover Norquist in the news recently as well. And Lyndon LaRouche, William F. Buckley, it's all the right wing or the left, or it's basically right wing socialism. That's the end of it. Now, what's interesting is that William F. Buckley Jr. was a member of the Council for National Policy. At the same time, many of Ron Paul's cohorts were members of this group, including a man that Ron Paul wrote a gold book with, Louis Larriman, the gentleman who's a self-proclaimed Zionist, a member of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. He was a signatory on the Project for a New American Century documents, the documents that have been fingered by the 9/11 truth community as being one of the smoking guns for the inside job of 9/11. Funny, they never point out that one of the guys who signed off on that happened to be this gentleman, Lou Larriman, who has been involved in all kinds of stuff, from Iran-Contra to everything else. And here he is writing gold books with Ron Paul. They didn't ever want to point that out. So this whole thing with CPAC and they're kicking Ron Paul out of this group, but they're trying to enrage the Ron Paul fanatics against this other end. It's another divide and conquer tactic where they can further splinter their entire own party by design so that their own party never gains any traction. So that socialism and communism becomes the dominant ideology that was created by this power structure years ago, because you create an environment where when you see these teabaggers and these Republicans and these fucking truthers and all these clowns on the right wing, your average person looks at that and goes, I want to be a part of anything but that. That's how it's the same thing. That's how the way that they steered people away. For years, they steered people towards religion, right? And then they started this campaign to steer people away from religion. That's how they did it. And it's not that steering people away from religion is bad, but also you inadvertently steer people towards another ideology that they control, communism, atheism. I mean, atheism is no more of a threat to the priest class than someone who is a hardcore Bible thumper. You understand that? If you are an atheist and you believe it, you are following an ideology that came from the same people that created every other religion. I mean, these goddamn atheists that can't get that through their head, it drives me batshit crazy. It is a fact that atheism was created by the priest class power structure that controls Judaism, that controls Islam, that controls Christianity, Catholicism, the same people. The atheist is no threat to the power structure because they're following an ideology the same as the blind follower and believers of any religion are. They're no threat. And that's what they did. That's what the whole formation of the CMP was about, was ensuring that no matter who you voted for, on which side of the phony left or right political spectrum in the United States of America, that you were going to get socialism either way. That's why the origins of the Council for National Policy lie in groups like the Milner Roundtable, Milner's Kindergarten, Cecil Rhodes Group. All of these groups originated out of the London School of Economics in the early 20th century, and they spread their tentacles out through groups like the Royal Institute of International Affairs, which then spread into the United States, which formed groups like the CFR on the right, the CMP on the right, the CFR on the left. And they trickled down into every little group and subgroup and everything else. And, you know, you think you're over here, oh, I'm for the Young Americans for Freedom. And then you got these guys over here, I'm for Ron Paul. And you got these guys over here, I'm for the Tea Partiers. And yet they all call themselves Republican, but yet they all have different ideologies. Somebody had to create these groups and create these ideologies in the first place for us to ever be in this situation. That's how you know it's an operation. I didn't mean to rhyme and throw down a fat line there, but I did. But 2 in a row. But seriously, so, you know, anyway, I hope that answered your question. What the hell's going on with the races at CPAC? A bunch of guys standing around pulling their pud, having a circle jerk, you know, jerking off to pictures of Poppy Bush, you know, at Skull and Bones, jerking off in a coffin or something. I don't know. What do you think they do? Shit like that. Let's see how. Lee Rogers is a great guy and a good host, but on Oracle he can't swear or rant. Would be an awesome show to listen to with you two guys go to town on a Moonbat show, swearing and all. Just an idea. I'd really like to hear that show. All the best. We did do a couple of shows like that in the past. I'm not sure where they're at. I think one of them was on the old Blog Talk Radio when we were doing that before we started the network. You can probably go type in Global Reality Blog Talk Radio and find the old shows over there and some old archives over there. Interview with Carmen Bolter from the Pyramid Code is on there. I think there's an uncut show with Lee on there. Yeah, we've had Lee on here a couple of times and he's cussed and ranted and raved. And we talked about doing an uncensored show once a week or something, me and him, but we just hadn't had the time. We're both working on films and busy with everything else. And but there will be an uncensored Lee Rogers show for you on this network at some point with he and I, because he and I have already talked about that. So just whenever we get time to, we'll get around to it. But yeah, we've done it before and we talked about doing it again. So there you go. We got another email here. Has anyone here or has AJ Alex Jones been questioned about Charlie Sheen at all on air? Wonder what his explanation is. I guess concerning his most recent exploits. Yeah, I mean, that's how Jones is. He just shuts his mouth and he doesn't talk about this stuff. Yeah. I mean, Willie Nelson's been busted for pot 87 times, and it was never a big deal or made a big deal about until after he came out and started talking about 9/11 on the Alex Jones show. You know, Warren Cucurello from Duran Duran and his gay sex movies. What was the other guy? Gaylor. David Shaler. You all know what happened to him. XMI5 comes out about 9/11, then becomes homeless and starts wearing dresses, dressing up like a tranny. I mean, I can go on and on here all night. You get the point, I think. That's why I always said from day one, even though I used to get shit from people I used to be on networks with, oh, you're just a blur, blur, blur. You ought to be glad these celebrities are talking about this stuff. I was never glad these celebrities were talking about this stuff, because if a celebrity's talking about something, the only reason they're talking about it is because their agent told them that they should. And when you know what I know about the music industry, and I know who these agents answer to, then you know where it's coming from. They get talking points. It's trickle down. Oftentimes when you see somebody like, you know, Lady Gaga or whoever it may be, and and Lady Gaga has a lot of Illuminati symbolism and different stuff in her films, and in her, not films, but music videos. But oftentimes when you see this stuff, a lot of these people don't even know what's going on. They don't know one iota. Lady Gaga, most likely, is 99% chance. She probably doesn't even know what the stuff that she's doing in these films. But the people that work in the A&R departments, they sure as hell do. The people that work in the creative arts departments, they do. And that's why they're allowed to have these high positions as being A&R reps or creative directors for acts, is because they've been put through the mystery school training. They've been taught the symbology. They've been taught things like how to make sigils, and they've been taught the finer arts of subliminal messages and sigils and different, Kabbalistic symbols and ancient things like that. And they figure out how to incorporate that into art or video, or whatever have you. And they know what combinations of these things to put together that will have a direct effect on the subconscious, not the conscious mind, not at first. But these strong symbols that react in a very specific way to your brain, which is why the ancient societies use these symbols, they basically know how to sequence these together to get a desired effect. So if the effect of Lady Gaga's music video is to get women to be more rebellious with their men, then, and I'm just throwing that out there as an example. I don't know if that's something she really does or something. I'm just saying, probably that's what it is. It's always shit that's garnered towards, women cheating on their boyfriends. And then the other one's always on, revolves around, call your guys, if your woman does something you don't like, call her a cunt or a whore or whatever, It's just constantly pitting us all against each other. And people just fucking buy into it and don't even question it. And they just walk into their operations, their psychological operations. And they just willfully go about it, and they don't even know. And you see people do it all the time, man. Culture slaves. Goddamn culture slaves. That's what we are. But that's what they do. You might have some theme of some Lady Gaga video where it's about being shitting on your man, leave behind your man and go, be a woman power type thing or whatever. And then also within these videos, you'll see little references, she'll do the little eye thing where she puts the Eye of Horus on, or there might be some other symbol in there, but that's how they do it. And it's magic. It's all it is. And the magicians and the sorcerers now, they don't, it used to be that the magicians and the sorcerers used to have this vision of, some sorcerer in this, top of the castle with his cauldron. Now the sorcerers are in the top of the penthouse suites, or at the top of the high-rise office buildings in LA and New York. And instead of a cauldron, they have video cameras and editing equipment and special effects, and it's CGI, and they have all these tools at their disposal now, all this technology at their disposal now, to which to further use their spells and magic against a larger people. Now, again, as I've stated many times, I don't believe magic itself is bad. And magic is real. And I don't mean pulling a fucking rabbit out of a hat and, hocus pocus and all that shit. I'm not talking about, don't confuse magic with these people that are sleight of hand illusionists. Those are two different things. There are illusionists and there are magicians. And real magi know that if you're using your powers for evil, as these people are, you're pretty much doomed. But the problem is that because these people hijacked the secret teachings and the secret societies and the magical orders and stuff centuries ago, if you go and join one of these groups, you are inadvertently going to have your teaching steered towards some sort of usage that benefits them instead of you or the rest of humanity. So don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against that. I believe that that's part of, what we should be doing is figuring out how to use these things they've been using against us and use them back against them. And use them to wake people up. Use them for the betterment of humanity, not for the enslavement thereof. That's, somebody asked about solutions earlier. Well, goddamn it, that's one of them. Not afraid to say it. That's the whole thing, is they're using this stuff against us in massive waves. And technology's given them a huge jump on being able, an ability to be able to get this stuff out in a much larger way than they used to. But anyway, so there you go. I guess that's all the email questions that we have tonight. We get more in, we'll go back to those. globalrealityshow@gmail.com for you here tonight. Let me get a drink here. Start talking for so long, you get thirsty. Let's see what kind of news we have to discuss tonight. Lots of interesting things here. I don't even know where I want to begin. Let me go through my stack. Bear with me for a second. We have just about every gamut of story. Oh my God. Did you guys hear Poppy Bush was on TV blubbering and crying again? My God, what the fuck's going to go down now? Y'all ever notice that? Every time Poppy's on TV blubbering and crying, some shit goes down, like a shooting or something in the next week. Oh man, he's on Today's Show blubbering and crying about love letters to Barbara or some shit yesterday. Oh God, it was sickening. I'm not shitting you, man. Every time I see that guy, he's on Poppy. Poppy's got a mega kill under his belt. A mega death under his belt. Yeah, Poppy been responsible for the deaths of millions in South America. I mean, my God, Poppy was connected to P2, for God's sakes. We got pictures of the motherfucker standing outside the school book depository on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, right minutes after the shooting. We have Madeline Duncan Brown's testimony that Poppy Bush, Nixon, and a whole raft of other important people were meeting at H.L. Hunt's house, the guy who put up the money for the foundation of the Council for National Policy. They were all at his house the night before on November 21st, 1963, right here in Dallas, Texas. He walks out of the room after they have this meeting, leans over to his mistress, Madeline Duncan Brown, and says, "Those goddamn Kennedys will never mess with us again after tomorrow." Madeline Duncan Brown died just a few months after giving that testimony, but it's out there. You can look it up and hear what she had to say. By the way, we shot footage at that film. We shot footage at that house, H.L. Hunt's house. It's an exact replica of what's it called? Mount Vernon. Yeah. It's here in Dallas. It's at White Rock Lake out in Dallas. I remember seeing that place when I was a kid. Always intrigued by it. Never thought it'd be something I'd be having a hand in exposing part of later in life. Crazy how things work like that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, somebody said Crowley's kid is still sharp as a tack. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. Crowley's kid, Barbara Pierce Bush. Because I watched that little segment that I was talking about where Poppy was blubbering and crying. And I didn't even think to bring this up a minute ago until somebody just sent an email and said something about Barbara Pierce, Crowley's daughter. Crowley's daughter's still, sharp as a tack. Yeah, I just thought of something weird. Check this out. I'll see if I can find a link to this put in the chat room. of that video where Poppy's blubbering. But there's one of the letters that they show him reading from in this video. And it's a letter from that he says is from 1994 to Barbara, right? And they show it on screen, and it says in the video, it says on the letter, it says, "Dear Barbara Pierce." And I'm going, dude, you're still calling your wife Barbara Pierce in 1994? You guys been married fucking 60 years? Don't you think it's time you can call her, you know, Barb, or call her honey, baby, darling, or, you know, whatever, but you call her Barb, you call your own wife Barbara Pierce? Anybody else think that's a little weird? See, that they're proud of that connection. They're proud of the fact that she's Aleister Crowley's daughter. They're not trying to hide it. You know, I always thought that shit was conspiracy theory for years about Barbara Pierce Bush being Aleister Crowley's daughter. Until I remember it was, I don't know, this is about 6 or 7 years ago when Bush was in office. There was some kind of White House press corps dinner or something, and there was video of this, and Bush is up there on the podium, and Bush says, "Tonight we have a lot of distinguished guests here with us. We have congressmen, senators, Ozzy Osbourne." And Ozzy stands up, and Bush goes, "Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff." And I saw that, and I went, oh my fucking God. I was like, did anybody else just see that? They're like, yeah, what big deal? He just said, "Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff." Well, he has a song called Mr. Crowley. I would think that that's probably why Mom loves your stuff. It's because you wrote a song about her dad. And see, that went over most people's heads, you know? And I'm sitting there going, that wasn't a joke. That wasn't, you know, oh, I'm funny, Mom loves your stuff. No, that was a direct inside joke for the people that know that Bush is the great-grandson of Aleister Crowley. That was definitive for me, man, because, I mean, you could see the look on their faces. You could see the look on Bush's face when he said it. He was dead serious, man. He wasn't like joking around. I was like waiting for Bush to start laughing. "Oh, Mom loves your stuff. Ha, ha, ha." No. Those motherfuckers were being literal. Mom loves your stuff because you wrote a song about her dad. I mean, why else would Ozzy be at the White House? Come on. Guy was banned from San Antonio for years for pissing on the Alamo. All of a sudden, he's just, you know, hanging out with Bush in the White House. Come on. I do think it's interesting, though, that Ozzy's former next door neighbor used to be Pat Boone. And Pat Boone is a long-standing member of the Council for National Policy. He's also a Moonie. Of course, Sharon Ardent, cunt she is. Her dad was Don Ardent, one of the most ruthless music entertaining managers ever of all time. And his big acts were ELO and Black Sabbath. And he just milked them dry for every penny they were worth, too. But yeah, what's interesting about that is that Sharon, of course, is Jewish. Her father was Jewish as well. And Sharon's dad was also a member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, which, of course, many people believe Ozzy is a member of as well. And also Jeff Lynne from ELO was also a member of the Ordo Templi Orientis. And so you have an interesting connection there with both Ozzy and Jeff Lynne, and, of course, Sharon's dad there. So yeah, and that's a big connection within, especially over in England. It's not as much that way here. It is to a certain degree, but not nearly as much as it is over in England. Over in England, it's, you know, you don't get into politics unless you're a Freemason, and you don't get into music unless you're in the OTO. That's how it is in England. It's always been that way. Here it's more like Church of Satan and that kind of thing. That's more like, not that these people actually worship Satan, but they believe that when they join the church, that, you know, it will propel them to the upper echelons of their specific function or whatever. And, oftentimes it does. Anyway, let's continue on here with more news tonight. Pentagon software prediction did not spot Egypt's unrest. Now, this immediately sent off red flags for me. I started thinking, well, okay. Caesar 3 supercomputer system running in operation, running an algorithm for civil unrest. Their computers their prediction software didn't predict that unrest in Egypt would happen because it was too busy running the algorithm on how to make it happen. You see what I'm saying? I mean, how stupid do these guys think we are? In the last 3 years, America's military and intelligence agencies have spent more than $125 million on computer models that are supposed to forecast political unrest in the latest episode in Washington's 4-decade alliance with future spotting programs. But if any of these algorithms saw the upheaval in Egypt coming, the spooks and the generals are keeping the predictions very quiet. Instead, the head of the CIA is getting hauled in front of Congress, making calls about Egypt's future based on what he reads in the press and getting proven wrong hours later. Meanwhile, an array of Pentagon-backed social scientists, software engineers, and computer modelers are working to assemble forecasting tools that are able to reliably pick up on geopolitical trends worldwide. It remains a distant goal. All of our models are bad. Some are less bad than others. We do better than human estimates, but not by much. Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. This is smoke and mirrors. I mean, they can predict what color T-shirts will be popular 5 years from now. Like I said, we can wrap this one up real quick and real sweet by the fact is the reason they didn't predict it is because their algorithms were too busy running the operation in the first place. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And that is indeed what happened now almost 10 years ago on 9/11. Everything was rendered unto Caesar, and we've been under its control ever since. Let's continue on here. Is the real-life Da Vinci Code about to get decoded? Scientists finally work out Age of Mystery manuscript. The bizarre sequence of symbols, charts, and figures has baffled the world of science for the last 100 years. But now, thanks to carbon dating, researchers have finally begun to pick apart the secrets of the Voynich manuscript, the most alien artifact of its kind in the world. They've been able to determine for the first time that it was written in the early 15th century, more than 100 years earlier than previously thought. We've talked about the Voynich manuscript here on the show before. And while they are no closer to understanding what the complex text actually means, putting a date on it takes them a huge step closer to discovering what it is really about. What is known sounds like the plot from a film that makes the Da Vinci Code pale by comparison. The manuscript was discovered by a rare book dealer, Wilfrid Voynich, in the Villa Mongranos near Rome in 1912 as he was trawling through a chest of books. He spent the remaining 18 years of his life trying to decipher its mixture of plants, circles, and humans, praying to the fountain of youth, but died before completing its task. The manuscript has been passed down through generations of scientists, then who have concluded that it is some kind of language that even they don't know what it means. The latest to take up the challenge were a team from the University of Arizona who dissected 4 1mm by 6mm sections from 4 sample pages they were given by the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library of Yale University, where it is being stored. Yeah, the Beinecke Archive has the world's largest collection of esoteric and secret knowledge books in the world. The Beinecke Archive at Yale. Absolute fact. Other experts also looked at the paints and the inks that were used by the mysterious author. Dr. Greg Hodgins, a assistant director scientist and assistant professor in the UA's Department of Physics, who led the project, said that they found some of the colors were consistent with those used in the Renaissance. But what really helped was the carbon dating process. which is where scientists measure the amount of radioisotope carbon-14, which occurs naturally in objects and decays at a predictable rate, making it possible to use it to date things. That process allowed Dr. Hodgkins to pinpoint the early 15th century as the only time the manuscript could have been written. I find this manuscript is absolutely fascinating as a window into a very interesting mind. Piecing these things together was fantastic. It's a great puzzle that no one has cracked, and who doesn't love a puzzle? Yeah, we can't understand it because we haven't gotten to that point yet, I don't think, is something very, a lot more advanced than anything we've really gotten to yet. Anyway, let's take a break, come back, and get into more news, more information tonight. Your emails as well, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And we will be back with you here for more. Oh, yeah, back here with you on the Global Reality Late Night Moonbat Edition. We're getting Moonbatty in here tonight. Glad you could join us, and we're going to be getting back into more news, more information for you here on the show tonight, and love to hear from you at the email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And please support us at the network, theglobalreality.com. The chip-in banner is there for the bills, and the donate button is there for films and other amounts. So please donate if you can, folks. And please help out those others people out there that have been donating and keeping us alive. They need your help and support because they can't do it all. So please act accordingly. It's been kind of, we really haven't, the exception of a few people that have been keeping us alive for the past few weeks. We haven't got enough, a lot in from other people. So I'm kind of asking for everybody else out there to kind of chip in and help out. Okay. Thanks. Let's get back into more news. Oh, by the way, the U.S. House of Representatives voted Monday to extend the controversial provisions of the USA Patriot Act. By a vote of 275 to 144, the House passed a 10-month extension of the USA Patriot Act. Yay! Yay, we get to be wirelessly tracked and traced, and yay, it's great. Whatever. I mean, it's always been that way. They've been keeping tabs on us, folks, longer than they've been telling us about it, okay? I got news for you. You realize the Defense Department and the NSA and the CIA had satellite systems that could see the head of a dime in a parking lot crystal clear in the late 60s. In the late 60s, admittedly. They could see the head of a dime on a concrete sidewalk from space in the 1960s. This has been going on a lot more recently than Bush or Obama or anybody else. They have made it more of a public issue over the last decade because they are trying to goad the world into civil unrest and revolution so they can initiate their ordo ab chaos system, order out of chaos, and in the ensuing chaos come in and set up a new order. And this is exactly what they're doing in the Middle East and exactly what they're going to do around the rest of the world. They just haven't gotten to all of us yet. That is the plan, and that's what you need to be paying attention to and understanding. British researchers say that the discovery of deep-sea volcanic vents in the Antarctic Southern Ocean suggests that they're more common than previously thought. Now, this is heavy stuff in terms of the possibility of us going through a pole shift right now. And the Earth is definitely going through massive changes. We can see it all around us. This very well could be another indicator of that. Deep sea vents are hot springs on the seafloor where mineral-rich water nourishes colonies of microbes and animals. Around 250 such vents have been discovered worldwide in 3 decades since scientists first encountered them in the Pacific. Most have been found on a chain of undersea volcanoes called the Mid-Ocean Ridge, but very few are known in the Antarctic. A release from the UK's National Oceanography Centre said Monday, scientists aboard the Royal Research Ship James Cook, using an underwater camera system, found slender 10-foot-tall mineral towers with shimmering hot water gushing from their peaks, and gossamer-like white mats of bacteria coating their sides. When we first caught the glimpse of the vents, the excitement was almost overwhelming. The vents were found at a depth of 1,700 feet in a newly discovered seafloor crater close to the South Sandwich Islands, a remote group of islands about 300 miles southeast of South Georgia. At the pace of geological change on Earth accelerates, we expect to see greater instability around the solar polar region from volcanism. So, again, another indicator of massive things going on within the planet. Speaking of planets, largest planet in the solar system could be about to be discovered and is up to 4 times the size of Jupiter. Could this be the often famed Nibiru? I don't know. But let's read this article. Scientists believe they may have found a new planet in the far reaches of the solar system, up to 4 times the mass of Jupiter. Its orbit would be thousands of times further from the sun than the Earth's, which should explain why it has so far remained undiscovered. Data which could prove the existence of Tyche, a gas giant in the outer Oort cloud, is set to be released later this year. Although some people believe proof has already been garnered by NASA with its PACE telescope, WISE, and is waiting to be poured over. Professor Daniel Whitmire from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette believes the data may prove Tyche's existence within 2 years. He told The Independent that if it does, fellow astrophysicist Professor John Matisse and I will be doing cartwheels, and that's not easy at our age. He added that he believes that it will mainly be made of hydrogen and helium with an atmosphere like Jupiter's, with spots and rings and clouds, adding you'd also expect it to have moons. All the outer planets have them. He believes the planet is so huge it will have a raised temperature. Somebody has dyslexia. You're ever typing, and when you're typing the word have, you put the H after the A? Somebody did that in this article. Daily Mail, you need to get your spell checkers out. I mean, that's just sloppy journalism. My God. You know, if I were to write an article and have something like that in it, they'd call me a spook and a fed and an infiltrator and everything else. You can't, you had a spelling mistake. You're a fed. Daily Mail just gets away with it. I love that. Boy, all those degrees, where did all those degrees get you? Sure didn't get you a spell check, motherfucker. I'm serious. You should look at this. Oh, man. Blah, blah, blah. He and Professor Matisse first suggested Tyche existed because of the angle comets were arriving at, with a fifth of the expected number since 1898, entering higher than expected. However, Tyche, if it exists, could also dislodge comets closer to home from the inner Oort cloud that have not been seen. If it is confirmed, the status and name of the new planet, which will become the 9th and potentially the largest, would then have to be agreed by the International Astronomical Union. Currently, the name Tyche is from the Greek goddess that governed the destiny of a city, is a name that may have to be changed, as it originated from a theory which has now been largely abandoned. So interesting stuff there. Makes you wonder what's going on. What are they getting ready to reveal? And there's been all this talk about some sort of crystal vortex opening up underneath Arkansas and all this stuff, because of all the crystals that they have there. And it makes me wonder, you know, that's what they're saying the dead birds was a result from and all that. You know, it makes me wonder if that's, like I've been speculating, all these, you know, like the Great Pyramids and the chambers they've now recently found under them, just, you know, a day before the revolution breaks out, the Discovery Channel announces that there's these 2 brand new chambers they found within the Great Pyramid, this massive discovery. And then within a day, you've got riots and looting and people taking archaeological things after we've already seen what happened in the Baghdad Museum. I mean, my God, folks. Then what you've got going on in Yemen, I think there's, this is just a hypothesis of mine, but I'm seeing more and more evidence pointing in the direction that there very well may be that some of these ancient technologies, because a lot of research and a lot of authors and people through the years, and there's a lot of stuff out there you can hear on radio shows and books and stuff like that, and YouTube about, you know, the Giza power plants and the Great Pyramids being energy generating devices, basically, you know, free, endless, high energy generating devices with inside of them. Also, the Ark of the Covenant being said to be, you know, have radioactive materials somehow relating to a massive thing of energy. I mean, it very well could be that these massive energy devices inside of the Earth somehow connect to the 3,600 year precession of the equinoxes in galactic alignment, and that these things may be getting ready to essentially fire up and show the world that, hey, look, here's free, unending energy for the whole planet. Now, if that happened, you'd have a revolution by morning. These people could no longer keep their supremacy over us if everyone in the world had free energy to provide everything we need. It would be over, folks. These people could no longer have their supremacy. I think they're trying to keep this from happening. And it's funny that this is happening right on the heels of while we're starting to hear, now they're saying again that peak oil is going to come in 2012, even though the BBC released Dutch Royal Shell documents back in 1996 where they talked about, they cooked up this whole thing about peak oil because they're trying to create artificial scarcity so that they can charge more for the reserves that they have when claiming that, they're going to run out. So they have to basically enslave everybody to it. And so they're coming out and they're pushing the peak oil thing again, right as all these discoveries are coming out that are indicating to us that some massive free energy device may be about to present itself to us that's based on ancient technology. And here we go. We heard about this yesterday. Here's another report. Shell report predicts peak oil now or soon ponders Depression 2.0, and they're saying this is going to come right around when? 2012. Well, isn't that convenient? Now here comes right at galactic alignment, right as galactic alignment and the precession of the equinoxes is happening. Boy, what do we have now? We have this claim now that that's when peak oil is now going to come about, 2012. Wow. Nice timing, guys. Nice timing. Just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, listen to this. Boy, the fearmongers are just ramping it up now. FBI says 100% chance of a weapon of mass destruction attack. I'm going to ask the same question I ask every time we hear this from these guys. Let's just say for a minute, you believe everything that they have told us about terrorists and Al-Qaeda and all this bullshit since 9/11. Let's say you believe that. And you also believe that the body scanners and the surveillance grid and the red light cameras and all this stuff is for your safety. And taking away your freedoms and the Patriot Act and all this stuff is for your safety. Okay, let's say 100% you believe that. And you're just the most dyed-in-the-wool patriot for the United States and the world. I would think that if we have a shred of reason left in us, and I'm starting to wonder if any of us really do in this world anymore, but if we have a shred of reason left in us, folks, we should be standing up right now, jumping up and down, screaming, asking why, over the past 10 years, we have acquiesced to every tyrannical law, every little breakdown of our freedoms, every little breakdown of our privacy and our security and everything else. Why have we given up all of this over the past 10 years under this lie of security if now we have a 100% chance of a weapon of mass destruction attack in this country? That would tell me that all of these things that they've told us that we needed to do haven't worked. You people are failures either way. You're failing because the whole thing is bullshit. But even if you don't know any of that stuff, you should be deemed failures by the mass majority of people out there. And I know it's all by design. I know it's all a part of the master plan. And I know that they're doing this on purpose. But my God. If there's a 100% chance that we're going to be hit by a weapon of mass destruction and everything they've told us for the past 10 years, we should be screaming and yelling at these people saying, you failed. You're a failure. Everything you've done has been for naught. We should do away with the body scanners. We should do away with all this stuff. And if we do, what will they do again? Well, they'll just fly more airplanes into buildings or blow more people up, and they'll just say, see, that's why we need the body scanners. Now we got to have them back. I mean, the goddamn underwear bomber didn't even blow anything up, and still for 6 months after, they were saying the Christmas Day underwear bombing, the Christmas Day terror attack. They were calling it a terror attack. Nothing got blown up. But it's up to 6 months after the fact, they were still calling the Christmas Day underwear attack. The guy couldn't have blown a load, much less blow anything up with that. I mean, my God. Well, I'm actually not taking phone calls, but I see that my buddy J-Mock has called into the show here. And so I'll make an exception since he's calling the show. J-Mock, what's going on, dude?
Hey, bro. Not much. I haven't been listening to the show. Obviously, you know my problem. I hear you on podcast the following day, but just screwing around on my phone, you know how one link will lead you to another. What do you know or think about quantum jumping?
Quantum jumping.
In this program that is apparently on the internet for free or whatever to download. Or do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Are you talking about like astral travel and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Like apparently, this is, I don't know, it's the first time I've come across this, but apparently it's getting in touch with all the different versions of yourself in parallel universes.
Well, I do know that, yeah, I do know that I do know a bit about astral travel and stuff, the ability to be, you can actually teach yourself how to.
It's like some 6-part program or whatever for free that you give them your email address and they teach you how to do this.
Wow. I see it now. I'm looking it up and I see it now. I don't know anything about it. I mean, like I said, I know a bit about astral travel and how you can, essentially train yourself to go out of your body and travel to places while you're conscious, essentially while you're asleep. But as far as this goes, man, I don't have any information of it, but I'll look into it and I'll talk about it on the show later.
Just looking at it, at what I was reading, some of the stuff. I mean, these people are talking about going and getting information on how to be successful and all these. I mean, talking with all these different versions of yourself, and there's infinite numbers of them. And it's oh wow, man, it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, I can't believe I've never heard of this before.
Well, I know that sounds like, I know from what that sounds like to me, it sounds like Einstein's theory of relativity and how anything that's happened in space time or can happen in space time is playing out somewhere, and how there's 12 dimensions of reality above ours, and there's a version of you on each one of these successive dimensions is living out a different time scale. Yeah.
It's just mind blowing, man. It's just one of those things that you're like, wow, did I really just stumble across this? Has this been going on and I've just been oblivious to it? I've never really heard people talk about it.
Well, what I'm wondering is why now?
I
was kind of talking about that earlier, just about before you called. I know you said you hadn't listened to the show, but I was kind of talking a bit about galactic alignment in 2012 and in the fact that they're telling us now that peak oil is going to happen in 2012, and it seems that we have these devices like the Ark of the Covenant and the pyramids that are activating energy devices right as they're telling us that we're running out of oil and all this stuff. And I wonder, with this quantum teleportation thing or whatever it is, that why now quantum jumping? I mean, why is this a thing now? I think what I know is that it seems to there's something going on with other realms of reality, and a lot of people have speculated that's what 2012 is. It's sort of the merging of the spirit realm with our 3-dimensional realm. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but if this quantum jumping thing has never been brought into the fold before, and people weren't doing this until recently, and now people are doing it and they're able to be doing it, that would tell me something about a change or a shift that's either gone on in the planet or in our dimension. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Well, oddly enough, I came across that link while looking up and reading different stuff about crystal skulls, and I'd seen the Indiana Jones movie and the different specials on, Discovery Channel or whatever, but it wasn't until the bottom of this big page, I guess, on crystal skulls that there was a guy who was giving his account and experience with one of the crystal skulls, whether it was the Vincent Hedges or whatever, or Max, actually, I think was the one. Anyways, it was the first time I'd heard someone talking about the other dimensions, and the Palladians popped up again in his description of these beings or extraterrestrials or whatever, that telling him what the crystal skulls were here for and what they were all about, and that they came through in some other, they were formed in some other dimension and they were teleported through. They weren't created here on Earth, and blah, blah, blah. So I get done reading this, and then it has this other link about the quantum jumping. I was just like, man, this is, I don't know, not crazy to think about. It's just, I guess it is very odd that it's all this stuff and all these different.
No, man, this shit's out of control. I mean, there's stuff. I mean, we're finding about new. I mean, the thing about it is, dude, we're finding out about more new shit now every day than we were 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like every day, every week, there's new stuff that's constantly coming out. But yet 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't coming out at such an exponential rate as it is now.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, when I read or hear about this stuff, it's not even so much that it's scary or something that I'm afraid of. It's almost stuff that I feel like I already knew, you know?
Well, yeah, that old saying of, yeah.
The first time, but I'm just remembering it.
Well, absolutely. It's like we're playing. It's like we're playing out. Our brains are playing out some. It's like a computer essentially. Like a computer. If you don't, before you put a program in it, a computer has never played that program before, right? But it does play programs. You put that disk in the computer, and that computer may have never played that program before, but there it is. It's kicking on, and it's playing that game or that program or whatever it is, like it's done it forever. And that's kind of how information is with us, you know. It's all already stored in us. We just were waiting for something to activate it, so then we can, you know, consciously realize it and then try to comprehend it and put it to work in our lives. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's why I was wondering what you thought about this quantum jumping thing, because it's like, do I give them my email address and get this 6-part thing? I mean, I'm very curious.
I don't know, man. I can't give you any advice on that because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'd be wary of anything like that. But I mean, if you just give them your email address, I mean, you really don't have anything to lose. I mean, you got your email address already, so
money then.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give me the information free. I was just, wow.
I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't know about if there are consequences or something else. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
I'll have to probe a little bit more. Anywho, bro, enjoy your show as always. Doing good work.
All right, man.
Love the stimulation that you provide to my mind and make me think. I sit here after your shows that I've listened to, and I almost want to sit down and make a big web trying to connect the dots, but it's so much.
I know. I try to keep it all in my head all the time, and then I just when I get up here on the show. So
yeah, it's the information vomit when I try and talk to people about
I know.
it. Like, well, what do you believe? And it's like, well, we've got a few weeks, but
it takes a long time before you can kind of cogently talk about this stuff to people to make them understand it.
Yeah, without them thinking you're cuckoo or crazy or paranoid. But
well, there's a whole lot more of us out here now than there used to be. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I know it's a good thing. Guess we'll just keep digging.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in tonight, dude. Thanks a lot, J-Mock there. Yeah, I wouldn't. That's one of my friends. I've known him for, I don't know, 15 years. I've known him for a long time. I haven't seen him in a while, but I've known him forever. So he called in tonight. Just one of those kind of inside friend things. That's pretty cool, though. One of your buddies calls in, you weren't expecting. I like that. That's awesome. All right. Well, we let's see. Let's see. Oh, the name of the site of the search, quantum jumping. So it's quantumjumping.com. I don't know anything about this. So those of you out there that might be looking into this or whatever, but I see the website here, quantumjumping.com. To me, it sounds like it says the jump into a universe of infinite possibilities. The billionaire you, the inventor you, the athletic you. In alternate universes, everything you desire has already taken place. tap into this infinite potential with quantum jumping. Oh, man. You know, like the old Bill Hicks thing. I'm Yul Brynner. I smoked and I'm dead now. The fuck's this guy selling? You know, I see something that says, you know, you can jump into other some other version of you and some other time, and then but still access that in this timeline. I don't know, man. Not without some good lysergic. I mean, you know, you take enough good acid, you can probably do any of those things, but I don't know, dude. Number one, it smells like bullshit, but even if it's true, is that safe? Is that something we should be doing? You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I got a list about as long as my arm, tell you the reasons why we probably shouldn't be fucking around with some stuff like that. But if you want to, go on and get it. You know, if somebody wants to volunteer to go quantum jump, and you know, it says here that you can bring out the billionaire in you. So hey, one of you guys out there wants to jump into the billionaire of yourself and you know, throw some Skrilla over here to brother Josh. Hey, you know, just make sure you tell him you heard it on the Global Reality first. But I'm not going to be trying to jump into the billionaire me or the inventor me or the athletic me. I mean, you know, because I'm one of those people that believes if I wanted to be any of those things, I could just make it happen. I do. I honestly believe that. I believe that if I wanted to become, you know, an athlete, I could. If I wanted to become an inventor, I could. If I wanted to become a billionaire, I could. You can do anything. Any of us can do anything that we want. But it's what we allow ourselves to do. I've allowed myself to become a drummer and a radio talk show host and a filmmaker, but that wasn't what I was 5 years ago. But that's what I am now. And so I see jumping into these other versions of yourself as being a natural progression of what you allow yourself to evolve into. I mean, sure, yeah, some, you know, according to Einstein and others, some version of yourself from some other path is playing out in some other thing in space-time, but I mean, my goodness gracious. If you want to sell fantasies to people, if you want to sell, you know, I don't know. But maybe, you know, maybe it's my loss and maybe I'm an idiot and maybe there are people right now out there quantum jumping into billionaires, inventors, and athletes and everything else. But if there are, and it's real and it's going on, how come the world still sucks? I'm going to leave you to ponder that question on your own for the rest of the night. That's our show, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us here tonight. Please support us at the website, theglobalreality.com. Chip and banner is there for the pills. Donate button is there for the films. We got to eat, live, and survive and push this forward into the future. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time for the broadcast. You guys have a great night. Take care.